Hey guys, welcome to my channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if issei was true? Red Dragon Emperor Part 1. Chapter 1. There was a couple in the hospital waiting for their baby to born. The woman was yelling in pain for giving birth. After like an hour the yelling and can be heard a newborn crying. The new mother was holding her baby until the man came, which was the father, came to the room. The doctor spoke, "Congratulations at a healthy boy." The father simply smiled at the doctor. The doctor left the room to give time for the parents to bond with the baby. The father spoke smiling, "My son." Then the father took hold of his son in his arms. The baby had brown hair with bit of red. As the father staring at his son, he noticed something odd with him. The father knew what it was but decided to keep it a secret. The mother spoke, "So our son name will be Issei." The father simply nodded at his wife. Issei's father didn't talk much but can show with actions. Issei was placed back at his mother's arms. Issei was sleeping calmly. Issei's father would look at his son with concern. He knew what to do if it ever happened. The parents left the hospital with their son. They were in city of Kyoto where they lived. Everyone was in the city are nice as like paradise, but in reality there are hidden secrets that no ordinary human knows. After reaching their home, Issei's father went to his closet and opened a small box. It was a bracelet that can be stretchable as the baby grow with it. The mother noticed her husband's action but didn't mind since it was no harm to the baby. As time passed they were a happy family. Issei grew, becoming a handsome child. Issei Minset was still a child, but his instincts were different. Issei was wanting to explore around his surroundings. The family usually would go outside and venture out in the city. Issei's father was role model for Issei. Issei would admire his father. Issei's father would give him important advice and give him training. Issei would enjoy training with father like martial arts or swordsmanship. They had a deep connection with each other. Issei's father was surprised how strong his son was getting. Issei was stronger than an average human and faster. Issei spoke while training, "Why training?" Issei was 4 years old. He started training when he had conscious around him. Issei's father responded, Want my son be strong and be able to protect your mom." Issei simply nodded, but he couldn't understand why he was so strong. Issei once was able to push a large boulder, though took a lot of effort. If it was normal person the boulder wouldn't budge. Issei would be leap in the air and jump on his house. Issei pain tolerance wasn't like human. If thorn pick on him he wouldn't notice until he looks at it. Issei's father spoke, "We'll say you're special, one day you will understand." After training, Issei's father would give his son a treat after his hard work. Issei's father would always be cautious when he was with his son. He don't want his son show what he really was to protect his identity. Issei's father teach his son everything he knew what a human can do. One day Issei's father was returning back home until he got into a serious car accident. The rest of his family were notified. Issei and his mom rushed to hospital to see loved one. Issei's father was lying on the bed barely alive. Issei's mother rushed to him and kissed him. Issei was sad his dad hurt. Then a doctor came into the room. The doctor spoke, "Miss, come with me. I need to speak with you in private." Issei's mother followed the doctor outside of the room. Issei's mother spoke, "What is it? Your husband doesn't much time left." Issei's mother cried in tears and turned her head to the room. Saw Issei standing next to his father. Issei's father spoke, "Issei, come." Issei followed his father's order. "I'll have something to tell you. Never ever take off your bracelet. Promise me that." Issei nodded in tears as he hears his father dying words. Issei spoke, "Dada, I'll leave on me. I promise." Issei's father smiled, he knew his son would be honest. Issei's father spoke for the last time, "My son, you are a dragon, always remember that." Issei's father grabbed his son's hand. Issei was confused, but he accepted his father's words. Then slowly Issei's father was losing his conscience until he was breathless. Issei cried softly on her father now without a father to guide him. Issei made sure to remember his father's last words. Issei's mother cried also. Issei would now be on his own. But he will be with his mother's side on now on. Slowly later in his life will change forever. After a few months Issei was standing in the backyard alone. Issei was standing where he trained with his father. He felt he can see a ghost of his father standing on the other side. Issei clutches his fists feeling sadness without his father. Tears slowly flowing down on his face. Issei spoke, "Dada. I need you." Issei immediately positioned himself in a fighting stance. Issei ran in the field and started punching and kicking in the air. With every movement Issei started to remember the time he spent with his father. He remembered how his father praised him for getting better. His father taught him many things. One was trusting his instincts. He remembered his father's words during training, "Son. Remember, trust your instincts and fight." Issei suddenly dropped to his knees crying. Issei was missing his father. His mother was getting better than Issei. Issei spoke to myself as he was wiping off his tears, "I'm a dragon. My dada won't lie." Issei returned back inside of his home. As a 4-year-old boy Issei would have forget his father. Issei was still sad by the loss of his father. Issei entered his room and lied down on his bed. He started to remember his father telling him stories about dragons. Issei looks at his bracelet, then he had thought taking them off. Issei stopped himself and remembered his father promise. Issei spoke to himself, Dada want me to continue. I won't let Dada down. Issei encourages himself to get better. Issei would go outside and train with a large stomp outside. After 1 year passed, Issei was now different. His hair had one big red streak as the rest brown. Issei was training with the stomp. He was punching and kicking it. The stomp was almost destroyed. Issei's body was chiseled and he had six-pack abs. In his arms could see his muscles popping out of his tight shirt. Then evening came. Issei was sitting on the dining table. Issei's mother was eating also with another young man. Issei's mother spoke to Issei, son, I have something to tell you. What is it, mommy? Issei asked. Issei's mother spoke, taking a deep breath, son. I was thinking to marry with Mr. Haidu. Issei looks at the man, which was Issei's mother boyfriend. Issei met him when he and his mom were shopping. Mr. Haidu took a liking to his mother. His mother had interest in him. Issei didn't complain about his mom having someone. The man looks at Issei waiting for his approval. Issei spoke, okay mommy. I bet daddy would be happy. Issei's mother sighed in relief that her son accepted his new stepfather. Issei hoped his new father would teach him like his biological father. Mr. Haidu smiled at Issei, promising not letting him down. Issei felt no connection with his stepfather, like he was nothing. After a few months, Issei's mother married with Mr. Haidu. Issei was happy for his mother. Issei's new father would teach him fishing like father and son would do. Issei was learning how kids do in age. Issei never forgot training every day what his father taught him. One day Issei's family were on a hiking trip near their home. As they were climbing a mountain, Issei's parents were tired as Issei didn't break a sweat. Issei looks at his parents, seeing taking their breath. Issei's stepfather spoke, aren't you tired, kid? Issei just shook his head sideways. Issei's mother spoke, Issei have a lot of energy as a child. They continued climbing on the mountain. Issei was way ahead of them that he reached top of the mountain. Issei sat on the ground and spoke, I'm a dragon. Then he felt he wanted to fly and soar in the air. He wanted let out something, but he was interrupted by his parents. Issei smiled at his parents, seeing them tired. Then they sit next to Issei's side. Issei felt like was covering them with protection. Issei into the sky and spoke to his mind, Daddy, I'll make sure to protect them. Issei's stepfather was weary of Issei. He felt like he facing someone majestic. Issei's stepfather was shocked that Issei had a chiseled body when they first met. Issei would tell him that his father taught him fighting skills every day and continued training to honor his memory. After the hike, Issei he was wondering if he will ever have friends. 1 year has passed. Issei is 6-year-old. Issei would wander in the beautiful city. Issei would leave home in the morning and return back in the afternoon. During that 1 year, Issei's mother got pregnant. Issei was happy to have a sibling to play with. Many of the residents knew who was Issei. A lot of young women were smiling at Issei how cute he was. Many guys would tell that Issei will become a handsome person. What caught most of the attention is Issei's chiseled body and strength. 1 year ago, when Issei was 5, was walking past a construction site. The woman who was near was looking at the planning of the project. Issei would smile at people he met. The woman saw Issei and spoke, hey kid, you're not supposed to be here. It's dangerous. Issei looks at woman and smiled. Issei started to get out of the construction site. The young woman spoke, geez. Kids are hard to handle. Then an unknown object was moving. It was a large steel post was shaking due to poor work. It started to lean on the woman direction. The woman heard a rattling noise and looks at the steel post already falling on top of her. The woman screamed and drops to the ground while closing her eyes. She knew she was going to be crushed to die. A moment later she didn't felt anything which she opened her eyes. What she saw, it shocked her. She saw the young boy holding the steel post. The next moment it shocked her more. The boy lifts the steel post to his arms and walks to empty place. The boy placed down the steel post like it was nothing. The boy turns the woman and asked, are you okay, miss? Woman was too stunned to speak. Issei, the young boy, realized what he'd done. Issei showed his strength in front of ordinary human. Issei pulled woman up to her feet. The woman returned back to reality. The woman asked, how are you able? Issei responded, maybe I'm a dragon. The woman was either to scoff or believe him. After all, he was able to save her. The young boy left the woman as he was returning back home. He was hoping to have a normal life. Now on the present day, Issei was walking on the sidewalks. He felt like free to roam. As he was walking, Issei decided to walk a path in the forest. As he was walking, he felt a surge of multiple energies. He closed his eyes, concentrated of the feeling. He felt like a figure running while the rest in the air. Issei decided to see what is going on. Issei started to run to the direction of the figures. There was a young girl running away in fear, and behind her were humans with wings on their back. She heard a voice saying, you can run but can't hide from us. The young girl had her 4 fox tails and 2 ears out running, but then she tripped and hit the ground near a large tree. The figures were laughing and were ready to kidnap the fox girl. Issei saw it while running. He knew the girl was about to get kidnapped. Issei ran at full speed and threw a punch to the nearest figure to the girl. The figure out of nowhere was punched straight in its face and was sent flying in the woods. The others watched in awe and saw a little boy standing in front of the girl. The girl spoke to Issei, "Get out. They are dangerous." Issei looks at the girl and saw its ears and tails. Then he looked at the figures which had like bat wings. Issei thought he was seeing things. The figure spoke, "Hey kid. You think can defend the girl? You are just human. Either way you are going to die quick." The figure was now showing its aura at the boy so it can fall. Issei didn't flinch at all, but he was prepared to fight. The figure was shocked the boy didn't moved. The figure decided to make spear and threw at Issei. The young girl was about to go in front of Issei, but the spear was too fast. Issei simply moved his shoulders sideways which the spear missed him. The others' figures were dead shocked. A young boy was able to dodge without a sweat. One of the figures decided to fight Issei in close combat. Issei was quick to react. He dodged its punches. Issei decided to fight back and sent the figure to a tree with a single punch. The figures were now scared of a human can knock its comrades. A figure stood out to be the strongest decided to attack Issei. The figure raced at Issei with force. Issei was quick moving and fought back. The figure was shocked to see the kid was able to keep up with him. The figure pulled a trick. The figure punched Issei at his gut and sent him flying in the air. Sure he is dead. The girl yelled at the boy with tears. Issei was in the air bit of punch. He was filled with rage. Suddenly like 2 red scale wings like a dragon on his back popped out of his back. Issei used his right hand like holding an object. Issei used his wings flying straight down. The figures looked up and saw something was coming down. They saw a kid with dragon wings on its back and a red sphere on his hand going straight at them. Issei felt the sphere was doubling its power. The figures were now shocked that their legs were shaking. They pissed a dragon off. Before they could react, Issei punched at the ground with sphere, causing a small mushroom of red color. The figures were everywhere knocked out, except one which was the leader of the group. It sustains bruises and cuts standing. The leader was scared to death and saw Issei standing with majestic posture with his dragon red wings out at full length. Then a red scale tail grew out of Issei with spikes on the top. Issei never felt so much power in his body. The fox girl was in shock. A human was a dragon. Issei's eyes were not normal. It had green eyes shining. The figure spoke shaking voice, "You are a dragon." Issei looks at the figure and immediately rushed to him that no naked eye can see. Issei threw a punch at the figure face. The figure was knocked the ground creating a crater. Issei approached the figure. Another sphere came out of his hand and started to double its power. Issei punched the figure with sphere making a large explosion. The figure was dead. It was in ashes. Issei turns to the fox girl. The girl was too scared to move. She was in front of a dragon, but not any dragon. All she can think of that the boy is a red dragon emperor. But she saw that the boy didn't had gauntlet on his hand. She didn't know how to react. Issei calmed down and returned to normal human form. Issei asked to the fox girl, "Are you okay?" The fox girl looks at Issei with shocked eyes. The fox girl could only nod at Issei. Issei reached out his hand and the fox girl took hold of it. The girl felt something inside like being protected. Issei simply smiled at the girl, but he had so many questions in his mind. As soon the girl was on her feet, she immediately hugged Issei tightly crying in tears. Issei was shocked by the sudden reaction. Issei didn't know how to react, but let the girl let out her emotions. She spoke crying, "I'm so scared. Thank you for saving me." Issei didn't respond, but hugged her gently. In the distance it be seen a couple hugging each other and destruction in front of them. Issei was in state of shock because he was seeing the supernatural. Then suddenly he heard like arrows flying towards them. The fox girl shrieked in fear seeing the arrows. Issei's wings came out and covered the girl using its wings to shield her. The arrows struck Issei's wings, but the arrows weren't ordinary. It was embedded with magic. Issei hardened his wings, making them look at dragon scales that were hardened from a battlefield. The arrows bounced back from the contact of Issei's wings. Then he heard figures jumped on him that were faster than a human. Issei immediately uncovered his wings making a large wind lash, causing the figures to fall back. The young boy was able to take a look at the figures that attack him. The figures were like fox, but had masks covering their face. One of Mask Fox spoke with a demanding tone, "Let the princess go." Issei was confused what the fox meant. He wondered how he was holding a princess, not to mention a fox. He moved away from the girl which she looks at soldiers. One of them spoke, "Don't worry princess, we'll save you. We'll end this stray dragon." Issei prepared himself to fight the soldiers, then the soldiers stretch out their hand and a spear form in their hands. He was shocked that spear was formed out of nowhere. Issei put away his wings and the guards charged at him while Issei did the same. Until they heard a commanding tone, "Stop right now." The soldiers and issei stopped and looked at the direction of the voice. It was woman with 9 golden foxtails and ears. She had a large bust on her chest and rear. She was wearing a white kimono and a golden crown on her head. Issei thought that is the queen, the mother of the girl. He saw the queen was surrounded by her guards. The young girl ran to her mother. The queen spoke, "One was so worried about you. I thought the worst happened. I'm fine, mama. I was saved from the stray devils that were about to kidnap me." The girl spoke to her mother. Issei was standing there speechless. He came across devils and now foxes. He decided to get away without getting questioned. He started to walk away slowly into the woods, but he was stopped by the guards in front of him pointing spears at his face. One of the guards decided to knock Issei out, but it was a terrible mistake. Issei grabbed the guard's clothes and sent the guard flying through the woods. The queen and her daughter noticed what was going on. The guard started charge at Issei, but the queen let out her aura, which the guard stopped on their tracks. The queen spoke, "Enough." Everyone stood silent and looked at the queen. The queen began to look at the area and saw a large crater that expanded few meters deep but 30 meters wide. The queen heard direction at Issei, which was young boy a year older than her daughter. The queen was shocked that a kid was able to create such destruction. The queen began to approach Issei. The more she approached Issei, there was nothing in him like he was completely human. She knew what she saw before. The queen bowed down her head at Issei. The group was dead shock. How could a queen bow to mere human child? Also, the kid had wings of a dragon. The queen spoke, "Sorry for my guard's behavior and thank you for saving my daughter. My name is Yusaka." Issei was in shock that queen of the supernatural was bowing to him. Issei spoke nervously, "It's nothing. It was right thing to do." "What are you?" the queen asked Issei. "I'm a dragon." Issei responded with a bit of a question. Yusaka looks at Issei carefully, which the kid had chiseled body and healthy. The queen was wondering if the dragon know about the supernatural. She later asked, "What dragon are you?" "Don't know. All I know, I'm a dragon." Issei responded. "Show me your wings." Yusaka requested. Issei started concentrated on his back, then 2 large red wing of the dragon scales appeared at full length. Yusaka was in shock and started to bow to the ground immediately. The guards did the same, seeing their queen bowing to a dragon. Issei was shocked by how Yusaka was bowing to him like a king. Yusaka spoke, "Dryag. How it was possible?" "Well, bowing to the ground." Issei was immediately confused by Yusaka. Issei spoke, "My name is not Dryag. My name is Issei." Yusaka looks at Issei with disbelief in her eyes and spoke, "Don't tell me you forgot your memories when you were in a sacred gear." "What is a sacred gear? Why am I seeing creatures like foxes and devils?" Issei asked innocently. "So you are not Drag?" Yusaka asking for confirmation. Issei responded, "No, I'm Issei." It took a while for Yusaka to comprehend that Issei is not Drag. She remembered that if Dryag was in physical form, he would be showing his strong aura. Issei on the other hand was a dragon, but his powers were so well hidden that the supernatural mistake him for human. Yusaka spoke, "Do you know about the supernatural?" Issei simply shook his head. Yusaka started to think he was lonely in the world. She asked, "Do you want to know about it?" Issei nodded his head and Yusaka smiled and spoke, "Come with me." The young dragon started to follow Yusaka while the daughter started to get close to Issei. The group was walking from the woods. Among them a queen, princess, young boy and guards. Yusaka was leading the way and the princess and Issei were behind her while the guards surrounded them. The guards were being hostile with Issei, thinking still trying to kidnap their princess. Issei was getting annoyed by the guards that he saved her, not kidnapped her. He asked himself, what is the point kidnapping her if he is kid? He was trying to remain calm not to destroy the guards. Then suddenly it dawned him, he killed devils, which a normal kid would be shocked, terrified, and guilt. For him, he felt it was natural to kill. The group were now heading a large shrine on top of the mountain. The young girl was staring at Issei. She noticed his body was built different than other kids around their age. The girl started to blush just by looking at him. They finally reached the shrine. Issei was awed by the size of the building. It looked it was meant for a person that is rich. Yusaka spoke to Issei, "Welcome to my home. Come with me, we need to talk." As Yusaka dismissed her guards, Issei would nod at Yusaka and began to follow her to a living room. Issei sat down on the large pillow. In front of him was a table. Yusaka and her daughter sat across from him. The dragon was now wondering what is the conversation is going to be about. Yusaka was the first to speak, "Tell me, Issei. You said are not the Red Dragon Emperor, correct?" "Yes. I'm not emperor, but I'm a dragon. That my dad told me." Issei responded. Yusaka and her daughter were listening Issei carefully. "Oh, okay. Well, this is my daughter Kanu that you saved. Which I'm fully grateful for what you did." Yusaka spoke with a cheerful voice. Kanu was blushing madly like she was presented to her boyfriend. Yusaka noticed her daughter reaction and started giggling. Yusaka spoke again, "Well, my daughter isn't used to boys at her age, so don't mind it." Issei nodded at Yusaka comment. Then a fox woman came in the living room with a tray on her hand. She gave Issei a cup and poured tea to it, then gave the members of household a cup of tea. Then the woman left. Issei grabbed the tea and took a sip. Yusaka and Kanu did the same. Yusaka asked question. Well, a lot. How come I'm seeing foxes and devils? Also I see magic being formed. Issei asked with curiosity. Yusaka responded, 1C. Since you don't know I'll tell you. We are part of the supernatural world, but humans don't know we exist. Devils, fallen angels, yakes and gods exist. Any mythological you think exists. You are part of it because you are a dragon. Magic is different, which species have unique powers. Issei listened carefully to understand the new world. Yusaka asked, you said that your dad told you are dragon? Issei responded, yes. Why I can't sense your powers. If you were a normal human. What about your dad? L don't know what say. I have no idea. I do things normal. My dad died few years ago. Anu started to feel bad for Issei without a dad. Issei looks at both of them and noticed that both of them were a bit sad. Issei concluded that Kanu didn't have a dad also. Yusaka spoke with a request, Issei, could you show us your wings? Issei followed Yusaka's request and sprouted his dragon wings. Yusaka and Kanu started to stare at Issei's wings. Yusaka spoke, Ulfi, you are not the red dragon emperor, why your wings are red. Also it has features of dryad wings. Yusaka was in deep thought, then a realization came up to her mind. Yusaka spoke, so it could be that you are a descendant of dryad. But there was rumor that dryad had a hatchling. The rumor is very vague, as like a made-up. Anu was walked towards Issei, then she gently rubbed her hand on Issei's wings. She felt the warmth in his wings. Issei spoke, so I'm long lost family? Maybe just a rumor. I feel I can't deny it because of your power. Yusaka responded. Issei questioned himself, then he remembered what he did earlier. Issei stretched out his hand and a red sphere appeared on his hand. Kanu was started to stare at the sphere. Yusaka saw the sphere started to get denser by 10 seconds. Yusaka now can't deny it, Issei is the true descendant of dryad. Then Issei's hand started to shake. Issei spoke, I'm having trouble to control it. Yusaka immediately took Issei outside. Issei threw his hand into the air. The sphere flew in the air, it was going at a distant mountain. Next 10 seconds they heard a loud boom, the whole mountain was gone like never existed. Then the ground started shaking for a few seconds. Anu was awed by Issei's power, while Yusaka and Issei were shocked the amount of destruction it caused. Issei started to look at his hands. Yusaka asked, how many times you placed on the ball? 6 times. Issei responded. Yusaka was shocked by the amount power that Issei had, still has no aura. Yusaka thought there is something that Issei's father did to him to hide his aura. Most likely to protect him from the supernatural. Anu later spoke with a smile, that was so cool, Issei. Yusaka looked at her daughter and saw her blushing. Yusaka gave a smile seeing her daughter enjoying time with Issei. Yusaka spoke to Issei, Issei, would you mind having dinner with us? Sure. Yusaka-sama. Issei responded with a smile, then hid his wings. Anu was happy that Issei was going to have dinner with him. After a few hours Issei was sitting on the pillow and saw a large amount of food on the table. It was feast meant for him. Issei and the others were eating. Masaka was looking at Issei while drinking her wine. Kanu was eating with happy smile. Yusaka spoke, Issei, tell me about your family. Well, after my dad died. My mom was dating a guy. After some time they married. He is a good guy like a second dad. Now my mom is waiting for a baby as a girl. Anu's eyes sparkled in happiness that Issei is getting a little sister. Masaka smiled and continued drinking her wine. After an hour Issei and Kanu were chatting about school. Yusaka was tipsy from so much drinking. Then Yusaka started to look at Issei from top to bottom. Then an idea came across her head, she wanted to claim Issei as her own. Seeing his muscular body and knowing he is descendant of dryad. He was kind with everyone and protect who are in trouble. Yusaka spoke, Issei. Issei paid attention at Yusaka and noticed she wasn't herself. Masaka had lust in her eyes trying to seduce Issei with a blush on her face. Kanu started to sense that something is going out of hand. Kanu looks at her mother and realizes what she going to do next. Yusaka spoke with seductive tone, don't you want to be with me? As she started grabbed her kimono show her large part of cleavage as she was lean on the table. Issei was in utter shock, instead he started to look at different directions. Anu somehow she got jealous and spoke to her mother, Mom. Don't do it in front of Issei. As she was trying to cover her mother. Why not? He's perfect for me. Yusaka spoke with a pouting face. Issei suddenly got up and spoke, one guess I to leave. I don't want to worry my parents. Anu nodded, but Masaka spoke, don't leave, stay with us. Issei got to the door and left. Kanu sighed in relief, then gave a glare to her mother. Yusaka suddenly fell asleep on the table with a drool on her face. Kanu could only look at her mother, then called her servant to take her mother to her room. Issei was walking back home and entered his home. He saw his mom sitting in the dining table with his husband. "Hungry?" his mother asked. Issei nodded and sat down on a chair with his family. He ate, but one thing was stuck in his mind. It was about the supernatural. The next day a young boy was opening his eyes from his sleep. Issei sat on his bed and started to remember what happened yesterday. He remembered that he saved a fox girl and killed devils. His real species is a dragon and could be a lost descendant of a legendary dragon. That all of myths and legends are real. That his father was a dragon. He remembered Yusaka calling him a red dragon emperor. Issei was glad to made friends. Issei sprouted his dragon wings and he began to look at it carefully. The light would shine in his scales, making it majestic. Issei spoke with a smile, "I'm actually a dragon. It's so cool." Issei opened his mouth and inhaled air and let out air of his mouth. He could feel something was trying to come out of his mouth. At the last second a small flame came out of his mouth. Issei was shocked he could make fire. Then he heard a knock on his room. Issei immediately hid his dragon wings. His mother entered his room. "Son, it's time for school." His mother spoke. Issei nodded at his mother and started to dress up for school. After 15 minutes Issei was ready and grabbed his backpack left for school. Issei was smiling like a new chapter in his life started. As he was walking to school he started to remember what happened last night. Yusaka was trying to seduce him and the reaction of Kanu. Issei could only blush just by remembering it, but his dragon instinct was telling him to enjoy it. Issei slapped his own face for being a pervert. After a few minutes Issei was in front of the school building. He took a deep breath before entering. He was hit behind his back. Issei turns around. It was girl with pink hair that reaches her back. She was wearing a school uniform with a blue skirt. She was also around the same age as Issei. She spoke, "Hey Issei. Why are you so gloomy?" She spoke with a cheerful tone. "Hey Aoi." Issei responded back. Aoi is childhood friend of Issei since they entered school. Aoi would usually tease Issei. Issei wouldn't have a reaction to it. Aoi asked, "Why do you wear that bracelet?" While looking at Issei's wristband, Issei responded, "Well, I like to wear it." When they entered school they separated classes. Issei was in the hallway heading to his class. Then he saw someone unexpected. In the distance a young girl with blonde hair wearing a school uniform. It was Kanu in Issei's school. Kanu saw Issei and she rushed towards him. Kanu spoke with happy tone, "Hey Issei. How are you?" "Good, but how are you here?" Issei asked with bit shocked. Kanu blushes and responded, "Well, I've been here since a while ago. I noticed you before but never noticed me." Then she gave a pouting face. "Oh. I'm glad that you are here." Issei spoke. Issei walked to his classroom and Kanu walked right behind him. To his surprise Kanu was in his class the whole time. Kanu sat in the front as Issei in the back. Issei took out his binder, started to do the bell ringer. Kanu was chatting with her friends. Issei felt similar energies as Kanu around the school. It could be the guards watching her. As the day passed Kanu would talk to Issei about the supernatural world. Issei slowly was getting the concept of the new world. Kanu would show happiness to spend time with Issei. When lunchtime came Issei was in the room eating his bento. Kanu was in front of him eating her bento. Then Aoi entered the classroom and saw Issei eating with another girl. Aoi spoke, "Hey Issei." As she walked towards them. Kanu looks at Aoi and had a jealous face. Aoi ignored Kanu and looked at Issei. "Elsie, you made a friend." Issei, barely happy. Aoi teased. Kanu was getting mad at Aoi for making fun of Issei. Issei didn't react at all. Kanu spoke at Aoi, "Stop it. You are being mean to Issei. He is good guy. I don't care, you are school president." "Whatever." Aoi spoke and left the room. Issei was shocked that Kanu stood up to him despite he was being teased. He said to himself that Kanu is a true friend. As for Kanu, she was wanted to be reliable for Issei. After couple of hours Issei was playing a game with other kids. The loser would have to ask out Aoi, the school president. It has be like a real confession in front of everybody. Eventually Issei lost the game. Kanu was jealous that Issei had to confess to Aoi in front of the entire school. Issei had little expectation for Aoi to reject him. At the end of school day. Issei was in front of the school, then Aoi came. All the kids were watching the show. Aoi had her arms folded waiting for Issei to speak. Issei bowed his head and spoke, "Aoi, I like you. Would like to go out with me?" Aoi had bangs covering her eyes and spoke with a cold tone, "No." Issei looks at Aoi wanting to know the reason. Aoi continued speaking, "The reason is I never liked you. I only became your friend because I felt pity for you. Always so gloomy and quiet. It disgusted me to spend with you. I hope you never be happy." The entire school was in shock, never in their life see Aoi so mean to a kid that is quiet. The one was most affected was Issei. He felt betrayed, like stabbed by the back. Aoi left quickly to her home as Issei stood silent. Everyone start talking about him. Some felt bad for him and others were giggling. Kanu was felt sad for Issei. Issei spoke to himself, just that thinking she was a good friend. Issei started walk home with his head down. His heart was broken that everything was fake. Then he felt a hug behind him. It was Kanu hugging him. Kanu spoke with tears, "We'll say I'm sorry. I don't want you to think that I'm the same as her." Issei's heart became less heavy that someone truly is there for him. Issei gave a small smile to Kanu. He spoke, "Thanks for being there for me." Kanu blushes and gave a smile. The next day Aoi wasn't at school. Then there was an announcement that Aoi moved out due family reasons. Some kids were thinking it's because of Issei. Others were laughing about it. Issei felt humiliated, but his dragon pride was wanting to show them not mess with him. He hold himself not to cause trouble. Kanu was worried for Issei because he'll be the laughing stock. She knew he could kill them, but Issei kept his straight face like it was nothing. Then school day started for Issei. The young dragon was heading to his home after a day at school. When he returned home his stepfather was spending time with his mother. It seems they didn't notice him. Issei seems he started to be neglected. To his mother there was a bond but not a strong one unlike his deceased father. Issei started to walk upstairs until he heard mother calling him. "Son? You're back?" His mother asked seems to be distracted. Issei responded with a normal tone, "Yeah I did." Issei walked to his room but noticed that his stepfather was not paying attention to him because he was going to have a child of his own. Issei couldn't blame him. What man would like to care someone else's kid that is not their own? Issei and his stepfather there was awkward behavior with each other since his mother got pregnant with his child. Issei sat on his chair near his desk. He started to do his homework, then he let his dragon wings out in a closed position. He didn't realize his scully tail came out at a length of 2 meters. Every time he thinks of problems his tail would move like a cat's tail. Then made a sudden movement that hit the wall which was a loud thud. He immediately behind him at his large tail. He shocked that his tail was that large and full of pairs of spikes from tip to his back. Then his mother calling him. "Are you okay Issei?" she asked with concern. Issei immediately replied, "Yeah it's just I dropped my stuff." "Alright I'm coming in to be sure." His mother spoke. Issei hid his dragon features making him normal human. His mother entered the room and saw everything was normal. His mother slowly sat on his bed. "Issei I know that you were being more distant from us especially your stepdad. I know that I'm not giving you much affection as before because of your new sister. I want to be there for you when you are having problems. I'm there for you." His mother spoke with a smile. Issei nodded and spoke, "Okay mom. I wish dad was alive." His mother approached him and gave him a tight hug. "No I wish it too, but we need to move on. We can't dwell in the past." As she spoke with a comforting tone. His mother felt something different when she hugged Issei like he wasn't normal. After she cared for him as a mother. Issei was glad that his mother still cared for him. After the hug his mother left the room. Issei finished his homework and left the house. It was normal routine for him. His mother didn't mind since her first husband did the same with his son, but his stepfather was curious why Issei always leave the house but couldn't question him because he always did it before he came to the family. Issei was heading to shrine where Yasaka lived. As he was walking he sensed a familiar energy as the devil but a powerful one. He was bit worried for Yasaka and Kanu. He quickly picked his pace and got to the shrine. He entered the shrine guard by yakai foxes but no battle scene. The guards didn't know Issei since it is his second time coming. They were shocked a human can enter the shrine when it's supposed to be hidden from the humans. One of guards spoke with a harsh tone, "State your business." Issei spoke with normal tone, "I came to see Kanu." They looked at him curiously since when Kanu had a friend when it's a boy. The other guard spoke with a harsh tone, "What faction are you?" As they getting ready to take out their weapons. Issei got a confused look and responded, "I don't know. Yusaka-sama said I'm a dragon." The guards were utterly shocked that the boy met the royal family before. Then he was dragon but couldn't feel any energy in him like a human. There is a saying never anger a dragon when wanting to do something. The guards were starting to sweat not to wanting to anger a dragon. They remembered that a young dragon saved the princess and was invited to their home. They started to open the doors for him. The dragon entered the shrine and started heading to the guest living room. When he entered he saw Yasaka and Kanu were facing him. He noticed that a red hair figure sitting in front of him. The figure stood up and turned around. It was man with royalty clothes. Also leaking powerful aura. Issei felt its power but was able to withstand it. Kanu was started to worry for Issei since he has no protection from the aura. She was being protected by her mother. The devil spoke, "One see you are the dragon that saved Kanu. I'm glad to meet you. I thank you for saving her if not we had problems with Yasaka." As he bowed his head. "I'm Sir Xerx the current Mao of the devil faction. May I ask how are you hiding your aura so well?" He asked respectfully. Issei was standing in front of a leader of a devil that is twice his size. It shocked him that leader was showing him respects he couldn't comprehend because he was 6 years old. Sir Xerx knew when a dragon lives around the area have to respect the dragon because it is its territory. Issei responded, "I don't know mister. Sir Xerxes was shocked that a child doesn't know how to hide it. He started to think that someone placed a spell on him to hide him from the supernatural world. Oh, sorry to ask. Who are your parents? Sir Xerxes asked, wanting to know more about the child. Well, I have a stepdad and a mom. My real dad died in an accident. Issei responded. Sir Xerxes approached Issei and patted his head. As soon he patted him, he sensed chills running on his spine. He felt the familiar power but couldn't put a finger on it. He felt he was going to faint but kept his composure. Sir Xerxes spoke, I'm sorry for your father. Isaka and Kanu were speechless. That leader was showing compassion for the young dragon. Sir Xerxes was thinking that Issei is a high-class dragon. If he could join his faction, he would be a good asset for his faction. Since he lived in the Yakai faction, he can't do it. Sir Xerxes spoke, turning to Yasaka, 0k, I wasted too much time. I'll see you again. He turned to Issei, see you soon, dragon. Be strong. But that Sir Xerxes made a magic circle and left. Issei was dumbfounded that the leader wished him good luck. Yasaka and Kanu sighed in relief that nothing bad happened. Then Kanu spoke, Issei, want to play? Issei nodded and Kanu smiled. Yasaka started to make a pouting face. Issei didn't realize that he was getting girls to like him. Issei was in the shrine house of Yasaka. Kanu was with Issei in her room doing her homework. It had been a few days after he was allowed to enter the shrine. Most of guards were afraid of him since they were in his territory. Some guards were wanting to force him out but stopped by Misaka to leave him alone. Kanu asked, how do you this division? Well, you split in groups like in class. Some class have group table of 4, but in total are 20 people. How many groups will be there? Issei, AS6. Kanu was thinking hard and responded, 5 groups. Issei nodded at her answer and Kanu smiled that she got it right. After finishing her homework, Issei was in meditation mode, focusing his power. As Kanu was looking at her dress robe, Kanu was blushing madly, then decided to wear something. She spoke, hey Issei, how do I look? Issei returned to reality and opened his eyes. He saw Kanu wearing a tight skirt that reaches her thighs and half sleeve, and her shirt reached to half of her stomach. In his eyes she was beautiful. Normally she wouldn't wear it, which she usually wore a kimono. I would say you're beautiful. As Issei struggles with his words. He couldn't stop looking at her, he was trying his best not look at her eyes. Kanu continued blushing that she was complimented by Issei. As Issei was staring at her, he felt something telling him to claim her. It is dragon instincts yelling at him. Issei told himself, I'm too young by the way. I don't understand this feeling. He felt his heart pounding and felt like his dragon instinct telling him let them take control the scene. Then Issei was interrupted by a knock on the door. It spoke, Princess Kanu, your mother is having a meeting with the leaders. Kanu spoke, thank you. Issei left the room and went to the living room. As soon he got there, he saw Yasaka sitting with her legs crossed and her dress showed her split thigh. He noticed the leaders were having trouble concentrating. He stood there standing listening the meeting. One of the leaders spoke, we heard there was a dragon around the area. True. What is it you want? Well, we wanted to confirm it, that all. What type of dragon is it? The leader asked. Yasaka responded, one say mainly fire. I don't check for details because it get angered. Yasaka was trying to hide true identity of Issei so that no one would try to harm him. Yasaka raised her head and saw Issei standing behind the leaders. Yasaka smiled at him. Yasaka stood up and started walking towards him. The leaders were confused of her behavior. Yasaka spoke, hey Issei. Then she leaned down to Issei level. How was your day? Yasaka asked. He noticed that Misaka had her chest was close to him. Issei responded trying to hide his blush, good. Yasaka spoke, 0k. Then Yasaka started to stand but intentionally made her breasts hit Issei's face. Issei was baffled by the situation because no girl done something daring as this. When she turned around she made her tails hit Issei's face. Then Misaka started walk to her couch but adding sway to her hips to let Issei see her features. Issei could only stare at her. As the leaders were very confused, they started among themselves, ls Yasaka is trying to flirt with a kid. What makes the kid special in way that Yasaka is trying to fall in love with her? Yasaka sat cross-legged and showed her thigh. The purpose for Issei to admire her beauty and probably fall in love with her. The leaders were having trouble to understand the situation with the kid and Yasaka. They sensed the kid had no power, just human being. They decided to mind their own business, not wanting to pry on personal lives. After chatting with Misaka about the dragon that appeared in her territory, they left in a magic circle with several questions in their head about the boy. After they left, Misaka let out a sigh of relief and smiled seductively at Issei. Issei was trying to understand what Yasaka is up to now. Yasaka spoke, sit here Issei. As she patting the seat next to her, Issei approached her and sat next to her. As many thoughts were running in his head. Yasaka spoke, I've been thinking, as she started to blush. That L. Then Yasaka spoke as she started to lean towards Issei. As Issei felt that something is going on. Yusaka breasts started to land on Issei's chest. They were laying on top of each other. His dragon instincts were screaming at him to take control of the situation. He felt how Yusaka breasts were squishy. Before Yusaka could speak, she heard daughter speaking, "Mom. What you doing with Issei?" Anu was getting jealous of her mother taking the initiative. She had a crush on him. Yusaka spoke at her daughter, "Well. I'm trying to get him to be a man." Kanu gave a pouting face at her mother and spoke, "Yeah. It seems that you want to keep him to yourself." "Maybe I am." Yusaka spoke with a smile. Then Kanu and Yusaka had their facing each other, sending each other glares. It could be seen that spark of lightning forming. Issei was confused why the mother and daughter are fighting each other. Shouldn't be a happy family. He would never know that he will be attracting more people. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that's been shown in left and check other series of what if that is been shown in right. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video.